So it kind of comes down to noticing it. So just figuring out what you do when you're in that procrastination phase. So noticing and then like identifying and trying to address it. So maybe you need to sit with it and journal. Maybe you need to go out and meditate. Maybe you need to go and get grounded. Maybe get your nails done. Everybody's different, but you need to just sit with the feelings of, okay, I'm procrastinating. Why am I procrastinating on this? And then what can I do to work through this? So with overwhelm, like I said, ask for help, get some accountability. And oftentimes it's just breaking the project down into smaller pieces.
Welcome to Go Get Great, the podcast for aspiring entrepreneurs and ambitious small business owners. I'm your host, Brittany, owner of Brittany Miller Socials and mother of 3. Go Get Great is all about helping you make life and business work together. You'll learn about the fumbles that helped get me and my guests to where we are today so you don't have to make them. So come join the journey with Go Get Great.
We are back today with another special request episode, and today's topic is all about procrastination. So when my friend initially asked me to speak about this on the podcast, my first response was, I don't know. I tend to procrastinate a lot. I don't think I should be talking about how to overcome procrastination. But her very smart reply was that's exactly why I should be talking about it, because no one is truthfully an expert in overcoming procrastination. So why not have someone who's not fabulous at it share her methodology for trying not to succumb to procrastination all the time. So here we go. We're hoping for the best today. Should be a funny conversation, if nothing else. So procrastination is definitely something that I feel like everyone faces, myself included, which if you would ask like younger business Brittany, if it was something she struggled with, I probably would have told you no. Because personally, I feel like I'm a highly motivated individual and I do a lot. I mean, to me, it doesn't usually feel like I do a lot. But the constant feedback I get from people is, oh my God, I don't know how you do what you do. So somebody somewhere out there feels like I do a lot. So even though internally I might not get that, obviously I have some sort of tools that help me overcome procrastination because I do some things, even if it doesn't feel like I do as many things as I should be doing. So, but yeah, I feel like everyone struggles with procrastination. For me, I notice my procrastination signs, if that makes any sense. So there are certain things that when I start to see myself doing or feel myself doing, it's like an internal light bulb moment of, oh shoot, we're headed into procrastination mode, or maybe we've been there for a little while without realizing it. We need to do some course correction and then make some adjustments. So a couple of the things that are typical procrastination signs for me are aimlessly scrolling on social media. I try and make it my priority to not do that. Truthfully speaking, I'm on social media as little as I possibly have to be to effectively manage my business as a digital marketing specialist. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but honestly, social media is not great for my mental health. And it is just so addictive and such a time suck that I cannot do all the other things that I need to do if I spend all my time on social media. So that's why we're slowly working towards a business that requires less and less social media. Check out my episode, I forget the number, all about how to quit social media. You'll see kind of my game plan of what it is that I'm aiming for. Again, not saying that I would ever actually give up Instagram, but I definitely want to reduce the amount of time I'm required to spend on it. So aimlessly scrolling on social media is a really big one. Binge watching TV shows, another huge sign. This one's a very evident sign. Grayson sees it and they usually get a couple pokes going, babe, you're doing it again. Just like, okay. I've been doing quite a bit of that lately, actually, because I've been very stressed out about our living situations, not even necessarily about my business, but just about our living situations and not knowing where we're going and what we're doing, which has made me watch a lot more TV than I typically would do because I don't want to have to pack things because I don't know where I'm going and it's stressing me out. And sometimes ignorance can be bliss. In this particular case, probably not so much. It's going to result in a lot of panic packing, even though truthfully speaking, I feel like I've got quite a bit of stuff packed. But when I start to procrastinate in my business and I watch a lot of TV, usually what happens is I'm up against a deadline and I'm feeling like I'm lacking creativity. So I procrastinate, hoping that my creativity will come back, and then it doesn't. And then I just scramble to get things done by the deadline. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I launch things that I'm really not happy about. Like, they're not bad. They're just not Brittany perfectionist standard because I procrastinated and not given myself enough time to hit Brittany perfectionist standard. So those are two really big ones for me. Also, I find myself doing a lot of busy, unproductive work. So there's like a 4-quadrant chart that some people use to help them make sure that they don't do this. But basically, it's like important, not important, time sensitive, or not time sensitive, time sensitive. And you're supposed to spend more of your time doing the important, time sensitive things than you are like the not important, not time sensitive stuff. So things like answering emails or potentially writing blog posts or, just the things that make us feel like we're doing a lot of things, even though we're not moving the needle in our business. So again, I have another episode about finding your needle movers. I'll link that one too. That really helps you dial in on what that top quadrant should be for you in your business, because it is different for everyone. So just like a brief, overview for me, that's like podcasting content, sending out emails, building courses, lead generation for sales, all of those wonderful things. Those are like top quadrant activities. I need to make sure I'm doing each of those each week. Other activities that are maybe not as important, like I said, sending emails, scrolling on social media, looking for audio clips I probably won't have time to record reels for. That's not helping my business grow. So that chart can be really helpful. And I find that when I fall into this phase of doing some of those activities, and it's like oh shoot, we're procrastinating on something, we need to do like a pause and reflect and figure out what it is that we're procrastinating on and why we feel like we're procrastinating on it. That sounded weird to say. We need to figure out the underlying reason of why I'm procrastinating to work through that, because usually it's like a mental block. Sometimes it's a physical block. Sometimes I have to procrastinate on projects that I want to do because I don't have things back from people in time. This happens not as often now, but it used to happen a lot with client work. So be like, cool, I've just blocked 2 hours to create social media content, but they didn't actually send me the pictures that I need. So, well, I guess I don't really have anything to do, even though I have lots of things to do. And then I just do other random things that are not really helping. So I've gotten better at that. But that's a type of procrastination that is sort of out of my control. If I had this stuff from the clients, I would have done it and wouldn't have procrastinated. But anyway, but a lot of procrastination is within my control. And usually the reason that I'm procrastinating on it is, like I said, because I feel like I'm up against a mental hurdle, or I'm facing some sort of imposter syndrome, or rather not facing some sort of imposter syndrome that I need to be addressing to work through it. So I've been procrastinating, truthfully, on recording podcast episodes over the last week, because this was supposed to be done a week ago. Well, we're doing it now, thankfully. But I really just wasn't feeling creative. But the reason that I wasn't feeling creative was because I was actually not addressing imposter syndrome, because I had a couple of topics that I should have been recording about, but I didn't feel ready to record because I didn't feel like I was an expert enough at the topic to talk about it. So an example, and I actually haven't recorded this one, so I guess I truthfully haven't overcome my procrastination. I've just kind of circled around it and come up with other podcast topics to talk about instead. But I was going to be creating a podcast talking about creating quizzes. And I'm facing, or supposed to be facing, feelings of imposter syndrome about this because, technically speaking, I haven't actually launched a quiz yet. It's coming. It's in the works, guys. I've been talking about this more so on social media lately. It is just a giant project that I was not expecting. I mean, like I was, but I wasn't. I knew the idea of a quiz that I wanted to create was going to be time consuming and larger than it should have needed to be. But you know me, go big or go home. But it's still taking me a lot longer than I thought it would, given how much help I was supposed to have with it. So I think that was the biggest thing for me. But again, I also haven't launched the course. So although I could tell you my process of creating a quiz, I can't actually guarantee that it's going to get any results for you in your business, because I haven't actually done it myself to know whether it's going to get me any results in my business. So I'm struggling with that a little bit, and I keep kicking that can down the road. I will eventually record a podcast about it, but probably after my course actually goes live. My quiz actually goes live. So oftentimes that's the root cause of my procrastination. Is there some sort of thing that I need to be working on that I'm not addressing? Sometimes procrastination comes in the sense of projects that feel really big and overwhelming. That happens a lot, especially with my quiz. So my quiz was supposed to be the behind the scenes story. My quiz was supposed to be launched at the end of January. I started asking or inviting people to collaborate with me on the quiz sometime in November. We got everything sorted. Beginning of December was when we started working on it because it's a bit of a collaborative project, like I said. Then holidays happened, and some of our initial timelines didn't get met, but that's okay. I was like, no big deal. We'll catch up in January. It'll be fine. And then I got pregnant and really, really tired. Pregnant unexpectedly. So I was not anticipating that I was basically going to accomplish only the bare minimum for probably like 6 to 8 weeks, maybe a little longer. January and February were really rough for me. I was very tired. We were also selling our house and house hunting. And there were a lot of external factors that I did not predict at the time because we had actually made the decision to take our house off the market in January after we found out we were expecting. And then it sold. So then we were house hunting again. So there was just a lot. And oftentimes that's what causes procrastination. You set a timeline and then life happens. And then you're like, okay, well, we need to adjust. And sometimes instead of adjusting, we're just like, I'm just going to stay mad at this for a little while. And then we don't do it. So, I mean, I did that a little bit, but mostly I just had to wait till the fatigue passed enough that I was a functional human again. And we've started working on it. And truthfully, we've made quite a lot of progress. In the last 10 days, we've built all of the quiz results outcomes, which is awesome. So basically that means that all I have left to create is the email sequences that come after people get their quiz results with some of the additional resources, etc., that we want to share. And then I have to make some promotional content. So I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel now, and the motivation is coming back. But in order to do that and to get to that point, I needed to overcome the overwhelm hurdle that I was facing. So one of the ways that I did this was actually asking for help. I'm not always great at this, but in this particular case, I was. So I asked for some accountability from some of the other quiz partners. They asked me to set some deadlines for them. And in order to set deadlines for them, I had to set deadlines for myself. So that's helping me stay accountable. I also have some accountability built into the Monarch community that I'm a part of. Highly recommend. So every Monday we set our 3 needle movers for the week. And recently I've been sending a lot of my needle movers to be quiz related activities so that it motivates me to keep working on my quiz, because I absolutely hate going in on Friday going, yeah, I didn't do it. It's like, I'm one of those cross it off the to-do list kind of people. And although my to-do list is always 8 million miles long, if you're watching the video version on YouTube, you'll see my to-do list, you'll cry. And there's always way more stuff on my to-do list that I can actually finish in a week, but I highlight my priorities and I always try to make sure my top priorities are done. And usually those are the 3 to 4 needle movers that I put in the Monarch community. So that helps me get through them. So in addition to accountability, like I said, I asked for help. And I asked Grayson to help me. I was like, okay, babe, we are building these quiz result pages. And Grayson doesn't mind helping me with website stuff. He actually helps with quite a lot of it. But he does not like me handing him a blank canvas and saying, go forth and do. Because usually what happens is we come back later and I'm like, you know what? I actually don't like that. And he's like, I spent so much time working on this. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. I didn't know that I didn't like it until I saw it. But now I want this instead. So in order to combat that, I have to have a design and be like, this is what I want. I just need you to build it. Because part of the reason is my computer is just slow, slower than slow with the Wix website builder. And his desktop is just so much faster. So what takes me 40 minutes to do would take him 15 because it's just so laggy. And also I'm not as skilled at it. It's time consuming. It's tedious. I don't like it. I don't typically enjoy the process. So I'm just like, okay, here's my design. Can you build this? So then he did some, and then I went in and I finessed it. And I was like, okay, this is exactly what I want. Now I just need 13 more copies of it because there's a lot of outcomes to this quiz, guys. I wasn't kidding when I said it was a beast. And then here is the document that has all the information in it. You just need to copy the page and put the new information in. It was like, can you do this? And he's like, I can do that. And I'm like, praise the Lord, because it would have taken me a month to do it. Because again, it's those tedious projects that I don't enjoy doing. I like being creative. That is not being creative. That's admin. So I asked for help. And it helped. Like I said, in the last 10 days, we built all of the outcome pages, minor tweaks and adjustments, but we are more or less good to go with that, which is exciting. So now the project's back on my shoulders. Be like, okay, Brittany, we got to build the emails. So I'm really motivated to get this done, hopefully before we move, hopefully by the end of April. So we'll see. But that was one of the ways that I was overcoming procrastination. So it kind of comes down to noticing it. So just figuring out what you do when you're in that procrastination phase. So noticing and then like identifying and trying to address it. So maybe you need to sit with it and journal. Maybe you need to go out and meditate. Maybe you need to go and get grounded. Maybe get your nails done. Everybody's different, but you need to just sit with the feelings of, okay, I'm procrastinating. Why am I procrastinating on this? And then what can I do to work through this? So with overwhelm, like I said, ask for help, get some accountability. And oftentimes it's just breaking the project down into smaller pieces. Instead of saying, I'm building a quiz, I'm building one email sequence. Like that is my next goal, guys. I'm building one email sequence, not 14 that I need to build. I'm building one because it feels much more manageable to build one email sequence. Like I did it last weekend when I was refreshing one of the email sequences with my ChatGPT prompts. And I was like, cool. It's like 5-6 emails. I can do this. I sat down, took me 3 hours. It's like I'm procrastinating. I'm kicking the can down a road on a project that's going to take me 2 to 3 hours. Like, come on, that seems so silly. But it's often the projects that take us the least amount of time that we procrastinate on the most because it just feels like it's going to take us forever. It probably won't, but it feels like it. And we just don't feel like we have time for it. So we just don't do it. Or at least I don't do it. This is truth for me. It may not be truth for you, but it's truth for me. And I was like, okay. I can find 3 hours this week to build this one email sequence. And then next week, maybe I'll find another 3 hours to copy the email sequences and change the copy. Because again, I had a copywriter help me with some of this as one of the collaboration features of the quiz that I'm building. So I was like, I literally just need to design the emails. They're already written. I just have to take the words from here, put them in here, and make them look pretty. So it's breaking it down into really achievable pieces. And then the secondary piece of that I'm not always as great with is actually putting the time in my calendar to do it. And I struggle with this mostly. I mean, it's getting a little better now that he's getting bigger, but I struggle with this because I would block the time in my calendar and then Luca or any other child of mine would decide that they did not want to sleep during that time. So then it wouldn't happen. But I already filled my schedule with the other things I needed to do that week. So then when I lost that block of time, it just didn't happen. So now I just try and be like, okay, at some point this week, these 3 hours are absolutely crucial. And as we get closer to the end of the week, like today's Wednesday and I still haven't done it. So tomorrow and Friday, I'll be looking at my calendar going, okay, or my to-do list and being like, okay, which of these activities are not as important and can wait until next week because I committed to doing this week. And that's kind of how we go about it right now. It's not the most perfect system, but you work with what you got when you're a parent. And this is what I've got to work with right now. So that's kind of the big ones for overwhelm. I'm trying to think if there's any other, I mean, there's probably so many other things that cause procrastination. It was like technically sometimes people procrastinate when it comes to financials too. And this is a big one for us. Like I know I need to purchase something or invest in something, but I keep pushing it down the road because it feels like I won't have enough money for it, even though sometimes making the investment actually makes the money come to cover the investment. It's like counterproductive psychology of, like you've got to believe it to make it happen. But, this like, you've probably heard this when it comes to hiring the employee. You have to hire the employee, pay the money out, and then you have more time to generate more income, which covers the cost of the employee. It's kind of like that logic, even if the person or the thing that you need to invest in isn't necessarily a person. So sometimes you just kind of need to like suck it up, trust yourself, do it, and then you'll see the end result that you were looking for. Now, I say this with caution because spending more money in your business is not always the solution to the problem you're facing. I did learn this the hard way, but sometimes it is. So, if I feel like I'm at capacity all the time, a solution to that would be hiring more people to help me, which I've done on a small scale, having a copywriter help me with some larger email sequences and a little bit of sales page copy. Which has been fabulous. I love it. But also, I know that I can't invest too much knowing that I'm going on maternity leave in a while because I don't want to have all these giant expenses that I'm trying to cover while I'm actually on late and potentially not making as much money. So all things to say that I know there are external factors, and sometimes it's easier to say things than it is to do things. But oftentimes that's something that causes procrastination for me because I have money scarcity mindset blocks that I need to overcome. And that's the truth of the matter. Usually the things that cause procrastination are in our head. And we just, like I said, need to journal, meditate, reflect, get counseling, therapy, whatever it is for you. Talk to a business coach to help you work through them. Because oftentimes it's not actually physical things. It's very rarely physical things that cause people to procrastinate. So unless you have children, those are very real, very physical things that cause you to procrastinate. Yeah. So that's my little spiel about procrastination for today. I hope that if nothing else, you found it relatable and potentially some ideas to help overcome procrastination. I might reach out to a friend actually and see if I can get some journal prompts to go along with this episode to help you do some of the reflecting if it is a mental block that's causing you to procrastinate. So stay tuned for some of those in case they come. I'll link them in the show notes. But I don't know how busy she is right now. She may not have time for that. But I think that would be really helpful. I know I personally would love to have some things that actually help me sit down and think about what it is that's causing me to not do the things that I know that I need to do. Because usually that's the case. We know we need to do it. We're just not doing it. Then we need to figure out the why. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Go Get Great podcast. And like I said, if you ever have a requested topic, you know how to find me. And I would love to do that. These are always really fun ones. So thank you so much. And we will see you next week.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Go Get Great. I hope you found some useful tips and tricks that can help you make life and business work together. If what I said resonates with you, please share it on social media and don't forget to tag at Brittany Miller Socials so that I can celebrate you for taking those first steps towards achieving greatness. Remember, success doesn't happen overnight. It takes dedication, hard work, and a lot of spirit. So don't be afraid to dream big and go after what you want. Keep striving for greatness. You get closer with every step forward, no matter how small they may seem. Until next time, go get great.